Megan has been a lifelong adventurer with her life and food, starting with being the pickiest eater ever, who didn't like anything, to our first dates with her husband, who opened her to a world of flavor. Keith was fun to dine with. He was a French classically trained chef who attended the Culinary Institute of America. They dined well, and Megan enjoyed the full range of all foods, cooked and served beautifully, until she went vegan, much to Keith's dismay and the rest of the surrounding world. In this 15 to 20 minute speech, entitled, "How Do You Get Your Protein? I Don't Know Yet," Megan will enthrall us with tips on eating. Please help me welcome Megan.
I'm sorry for walking in. Okay. Let food be thy medicine. Okay. So you have to picture it. It's 2009. What are your neighbors complaining about? Property values? Where am I working? I am a Merrill Lynch financial advisor in a high-performance environment. Wow. And life should be so easy for all of us new recruits because the market has tanked and everyone's really ticked off with their advisors. So it's going to be really easy for me to gather this 50% pile of new assets, 50% of what the value used to be. Sure, let me tell you how fun it is to go look for people to invest in the market where they just lost half of their retirement nest egg. It's going to be so easy. And what else? It's going to be a lot of fun, right? Sitting down with people to talk about the most optimistic point in their life. All of that is going on, and as I said, I'm a new recruit, so I'm trying to learn the rabbit hole of Mother Merrill that has like 65 buttons to click just on your home screen, and inside of each one of those 65 buttons is at least 65,000 others. So we've got that going on. And I'm trying to calm my own nerves and get back to the fact that there's an economic cycle and everything's going to be okay, right? But no one's teaching me, no one's holding my hand. I'm a new recruit and every advisor is essentially like blowing steam out of their ears on a daily basis with the doors closed, with F-bombs going on in a very loud tone behind closed doors, almost every day. So this is my environment, and the people that I could learn from are called the wholesalers. So we have wholesalers. So we have the guys in suits that come in and sell to the guys in suits. And we're supposed to pass on these products to our, very happy, optimistic new clients. So that's what's going on in 2009 in my life. The wholesalers come in and they do these things called lunch and learns. And what do they bring for lunch? Heavy pastas from terrazzo's, pizzas, subs. I'm working about 12 hours almost on a daily basis in this really high pressure environment. And I'm not only eating the food, I'm eating up everything that they tell me, and then I'm eating the food, and then there's leftovers, and I'm packing up the food because life hasn't slowed down at home with 2 busy kids and a working mom. Who's got time to cook? So the pizzas and subs are going in me, and then they're also coming home with me, and they're going in my children. And by October of 2009, when I went on vacation, I had enough. It was either buy an entire new wardrobe because I had put on so much weight, or figure out a new plan. Luckily, in October of 2009, I was going up to the Berkshires. This is Western Massachusetts. It's Vermont-like. It's very, very nice. It's beautiful. It's clean. And I am going with one of my best friends who used to be a stay-at-home mom with me. And Olga was very much like my husband. She was my perfect complement to my type A. She was a stay-at-home mom with me, and if you can take stay-at-home mom and make it type A, this is the woman who knew how much work and frenzy I could put into a pretty relaxed, chill period of time, not like Merrill Lynch. So Olga and I go on vacation together, and I told her, hey, I got the lodging if you can take care of the food. And we're on the phone. I'm living in North Carolina. She's up in Boston. And she goes, I'm crazy about the food, Megan. I said, I know, and I think I'm going to need your help. So I really want you to do the food. We had the greatest vacation ever. It was so much fun. moms, daughters, just like old times. And we ended up on kind of a food adventure. So again, back to Western Massachusetts and what it's like there. We're driving down this beautiful road that's winding alongside a stream, and there's this bakery on the edge of the road. No town, nothing else, just a bakery. So we go in and we're like, oh, what are we gonna find that's vegan in a bakery? About 50% of the rack in Western Massachusetts has vegan options inside of the bakery. Home milled breads, all this really fun stuff. So we end up getting a vegan pie crust, which, speed up here, I don't think we had an option to buy a vegan pie crust in Wilmington until Whole Foods opened in 2012. So let's be clear about this. This is way back in 2009. But again, Western Massachusetts, extraordinarily progressive, very nutritious. We pick up a vegan pie crust. We went apple picking at least 3 times. The other options of where to shop, where we were in this very remote place, was a local grocery store, which was a co-op that offered a lot of organic choices from the local area. So again, we're just in this pristine, la-la vegan land. Okay, so I'm in vegan land, and my girlfriend Olga says to me, who again, very laid back, looks at me all wound tight, and she just goes, like she's gonna get her head bit off or something, you're gonna have to make peace with your kitchen. You're going to have to wash fresh vegetables, perhaps peel them, and certainly cut them. You're going to have to add a half hour to whatever you're used to doing in the kitchen. Well, I've been married to a chef forever. I mean, we can spend all day making a meal. But again, I'm the one packing up all the food so I can have 30 seconds and the kids can eat in the car while we're driving to whatever soccer park. So that's kind of the introduction. Great week in vegan land. And then I come home to Keith, the French classically trained chef who makes roux with butter slowly over time. Lots of butter, lots and lots of butter. And I come home and I said, hey, I'm vegan. These are our friends, not our food. And he's like, oh my God, Megan, like the power of the universe, every choice you can have, why are you tying your hands and limiting me? I'm like, I'm inspiring you. I'm gonna help you be more creative, right? So he loved that. That was just a fantastic moment in time for us in our life. So I come home and I start cooking vegan. And one of the first things that I got for Christmas after I became vegan was a quick fix vegan cookbook. This was a gift from my parents. And Keith not only has to cook vegan for me, but they became his Christmas gifts too. So this is The Conscious Cook. This cook actually was schooled at the Culinary Institute of America as well. If you were to buy every ingredient in this book, it would probably be at least $1.3 million, just so you know. One recipe in this book, I think, was about $72. It's like, I wish we had a vegan restaurant in Wilmington, and oh, but we do. Not necessarily a vegan restaurant, but Sea Level City is a great choice. That's a new, recent, reopened restaurant here in town. So the choices are getting better. One of the things that helped me the most on my strive to be vegan was a book called Vegan Planet. That's really a little bit about preparing a vegan kitchen. All the new recipes are in the book, but it also tells you what you should have in your pantry, what to buy for your refrigerator, and also some of the staples to have just go to in the freezer or cabinets. So that was super helpful. I took it out of the library 2 or 3 times because in addition to being vegan, I'm also extraordinarily frugal. So I did finally buy that book for myself because the recipes were to die for. They're really delicious. The other thing that I found out, my research started essentially with my best friend Olga in vegan land, and then you start reading about what you're doing. I needed to have a larger palette, more choices, things like that. So I had read about the book, The China Study, and it is one of the most, it is not one of, it is the most comprehensive diet book and data that has ever been collected. There's a lot of research on nutrition, individual vitamins alone, but this actually was a study done by Dr. Collins and his son that they went and found 2 counties to research, and they linked eating a plant-based diet and avoiding animal products actually exclude, reduce, or reverse a lot of our diseases. Cancer, diabetes, heart disease. It's factual, it's science. Dr. Collins was a researcher well before he did this comprehensive study where he had been looking at independent things like amino acids and carbohydrates and how they affect the body. But he looked at people, and how they truly eat, not in this just individual single serving. And the data is indisputable. So the idea of plant-based diet has really kind of taken ground, although the word vegan still seems toxic. People have a very bad adverse reaction to that. And I think are a little bit more open to the words plant-based diet. The other book that I really liked was a book called Skinny Bitch, which was hilarious. Have you read it? Okay, so this is a model recruiting agency top executive co-authored with a model on we don't just show up like this, essentially. And the book made me laugh. I actually avoided the chapter that they had on animal cruelty and factory farming because that bothers me a lot. But I also avoided the section on chemicals in wine because that doesn't exist. But one reviewer actually said about Skinny Bitch, Skinny Bitch is just the same old diet rules repackaged in an obnoxious and bullying tone. Which was hilarious for me because about a year after being vegan and you get everybody else's obnoxious tone, I was like, I can handle it. That's good. We don't just show up looking the way that we look. We work really hard at it. Not skinny bitches, I'm not labeling myself that, but just people in general. Sometimes it takes just a Herculean effort for some people to get out of bed. So just be kind to each other, I guess, would be my main message in that. And people aren't always kind, including when you try and order as a vegan at a restaurant. So if you think about it for a minute, what would you say is the best thing that Bill Clinton brought to public awareness? Not the most popular thing. Don't go there. But what's the best thing? He had a heart attack. And unknown to a lot of people, he switched to a plant-based diet. So if you ever wonder what happened to the pudgy saxophone player, he lost 25 pounds. He embraced the plant-based diet, and he truly is a promoter and a believer in it. As far as I know, he hasn't had a second heart attack. So you can feel better about being vegan. But then we just did also have Thanksgiving and another holiday, so what happens when you have a vegan coming for Thanksgiving or Christmas? All kinds of mad jokes. Anyway, being vegan, I think, is an educated, smart choice, or at least trying to embrace the plant-based diet is, and there's plenty of vegan choices, substitutes, things of that nature. I try and stick to primarily just eating vegetables and those types of choices other than processed products that have replaced it. But, like just last night, Phil, I had vegan ice cream.
Why do you always have to bring up vegan?
So this is the real kind of pushback we get. Now, if I had said to Phil, hey Phil, last night I had ice cream.
Oh my God, I thought you were vegan.
It's like you can't win. I can't even begin to tell you what it's like when you talk to a server and you just say, hey, I'm vegan, are there any choices on this menu? And they're like, or, do you serve vegetarians? And they're like, oh yeah, people love eating vegetarians. Like, thanks. So no one wants you to be vegan, or you get like that super supportive response, like, oh my God, you ate something with dairy in it. And it's like, calm down. So this actually did happen to me just last week when my son was at home. And I ordered something that had cheese on it. And he just freaked out. The other thing, when I go out to a restaurant, if I'm on a date with Lawrence actually told me that he tries to use the fewest words possible when ordering. That was his statement. I try to use the fewest words possible while ordering. What I think he wanted to add to that was, I'm trying to compensate for you. Smart man, he didn't do that. Cue video. So while we wait for this to warm up, come on guys. If you push too many buttons, will the whole thing go off?
Do you have time on the clock? Maybe you're okay.
That for your notes, we're gonna talk about
Okay. So I'm at a restaurant and I ordered. We went to Basics, and I ended up ordering a fig bread that had prosciutto and blue cheese crumbles on it. And of course I asked for them not to put the prosciutto on, which of course the server then responded, well, Sherwin will also take $5 off for that pound of ham that we were going to put on there. They don't do that. You can remove the meat, they don't reduce the price. Sad but true. This was the moment where Bruce was like, blue cheese? Oh my God, Mom, when did you add cheese back in your diet? I don't know, like 4 years ago. So back to Lawrence, this is what I think he sees.
I'll have another 3.
I'd like the chef salad, please, with the oil and vinegar on the side, and the apple pie on mode.
Chef and apple on mode.
But I'd like the pie heated, and I don't want the ice cream on top. I want it on the side, and I'd like strawberry instead of vanilla if you have it. If not, then no ice cream, just
Not even the pie?
No, just the pie, but then not heated.
But then not heated.
What?
All right. So that's what I assume is what's going on with Lawrence, is he sees my superior choices, my well-educated superior choices on how things can be better, how I want things the way that I want them. So I was vegan from 2009 to about 2014, 2015, so 5 or 6 years. And the best part about it is I truly do love vegetables. I was a picky eater as a kid. If I was eating broccoli, it had to be 3-year-old broccoli. It had to be 3 years old, just like me. And when I turned 4, then I had to have 4-year-old broccoli. And my parents were like, oh my God, if this broccoli was around for 4 years, what would it look like? But I do love my vegetables. However, I also realize that when you go to a restaurant, there's a lot of butter and eggs and dairy. I don't need the server running back and forth all the time to give me an ingredient list. And so I do try and tone it down some. When I eat bread on the table, Phil, I know there's eggs and butter in it. I'm choosing that. So once in a while, I tend to be less restrictive than before. And like I said, I used to be vegan because I was pretty strict about things. And it's still hard to be vegan in Wilmington. Very easy to do in New York City, a little bit tougher here to have a social life. So I decided that eggs were good, and I decided that once in a while putting clouds in my coffee was just fine. I like cream in my coffee. Goat cheese never bothered my stomach, so I added that back in. And honey, I was never really like, well, you know, if there's not animal cruelty going on, you know, why not? And also there's a lot of benefits to honey as well. So that classification for me kind of became an 80-20. We know that about our closet. 80% of the time we wear 20% of our clothes. You might also know that as an investing philosophy for me. 80% of your money will go into this core allocation, and 20% is for fun for me to play with all the sectors and things and ideas that I have going on in the market. So why not food? 80% of the time I can control what I'm eating and I know what's in there and I can be vegan. 20% of the time, I have 2 major cravings. One is chocolate cake, and the other is broccoli. So I'm very fortunate that one is broccoli, but I do get it. I've had vegan cake. They tend to be very dense. They're very good, delicious. Again, substitutes are going great, but why not go for the real thing? So that's where my 20% comes in. Your family, your friends, your servers will impugn your questions and your decisions. So although it makes sense to me, I have had a restricted diet for a long period of time, but I just don't really look at it as restrictive. I look at it as a choice. And again, my choice is a plant-based diet. So the kitchen at home is primarily vegan. I never embraced the vegan lifestyle, so that's another place where people will accost you if you're wearing leather boots, carry a leather purse, wear leather belts. Anything involved with animal products is not considered vegan, including your soaps and shampoos and all those types of things. I've taken probably a 20% dive into that arena, but not fully. So one of the first things I heard after I went vegan coming back, somebody asked me, hey, do you know what a vegan is? And I'm thinking, yeah. And so I just kind of kept walking away. And they're like, no, wait, I want to tell you a joke. And I'm like, right, because making fun of me is going to make your joke even funnier. And they're like, no. So a vegan is a vegetarian, only a bigger pain in the ass. And I'm like, So when you go vegan, your servers, your family, your friends, they may accost you. But when you arm yourself with good education and you look healthier and you feel better, the benefits are very much worth it. So I choose that plant-based diet in 80-20. And where do I get my protein? Wheatgrass.